Hello, everyone, and welcome to my coloring corner. Today we are reading from the Mystical Lands Chronicles, Book 2, Christmas Crystals and the Chrysalis by Karen E. Myers. This is Chapter 3. Lila stood at the edge of the sacred spring, chills running through her body in a mixture of anticipation and fear. The words of the prophecy of the protector echoed in her mind as she gazed upon the crystalline waters before her. She was only 15 years old, yet the fate of her mother and the mystical lands rested on her shoulders. The silvery rays of the moon shone down from above, casting eerie shadows across the sacred spring. This hidden oasis was nestled deep within the ancient grove of towering oak trees, their gnarled branches stretching out like protective arms over the shimmering pool. Lila felt as though she had stepped into another world altogether, one filled with secrets and magic that hummed beneath her skin. The sacred spring itself was a marvel. Fed by an underground stream, the water bubbled gently at its center, creating an ever-present murmur that seemed to whisper ancient incantations. Moss-covered stones lined the edge of the spring, their surfaces worn smooth by countless generations of seekers who had come before Lila, drawn to this sacred place. At the heart of the spring the water glowed with a soft ethereal light, hinting at the mysterious doorway hidden beneath its surface. "Is this really where it begins?" Lila whispered to herself, her voice barely audible above the gentle babble of the spring. As magical as this pool appears, she could hardly believe the key to entering the mystical lands. A realm of wonder beyond her wildest dreams was so simply reached. Lila transferred the magic crystal from her cloak pocket to the pouch at her waist to keep it more secure. As she wondered what she would be required to do next. Wondered what she would be required to do next. Sorry. As if to answer her question, a mysterious mist began to rise from the water, swirling around her like tendrils of a ghostly embrace. Lila shivered involuntarily, her breath catching in her throat as the cool fog enveloped her. It seemed to carry with it the very essence of the mystical lands, filling her senses with the scent of damp earth and the rustle of leaves in the distant forest. She knew that she stood on the threshold of something truly extraordinary. "All right," Lila said firmly, steeling herself for what lay ahead. "I'm ready." "Be brave," Lila Rabbit whispered. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool, mist-laden air fill her lungs as she prepared to plunge into the sacred spring. The weight of her responsibility pressed heavily upon her, but she refused to let it overwhelm her. With one final glance at the night sky above, Lila stepped forward into the waters of the sacred spring, ready to begin her journey into the unknown realm of the mystical lands. "Good luck," Squirrel called out, her voice fading as Lila dove deeper into the unknown, anxious about the challenges and dangers that awaited her. Yet as she submerged herself into the glowing water, she could not help but feel overtaken by a sense of wonder for what lay beyond. Lila's heartbeat pounded loudly in her ears as she sank deeper into the pool, the water cold and crisp against her skin. She opened her eyes, wincing at the slight sting of the water, and found herself surrounded by a swirling kaleidoscope of colors. The sacred spring pulsed with life, its waters shimmering and effervescent. Time seemed to slow down, and Lila felt a strange serenity envelop her as she continued her descent. "Focus, Lila," she urged herself, trying to bolster her confidence. "You must find the doorway." Her fingers grazed the rocky bottom, stirring up tiny whirlwinds of sand. Just when she thought the entrance was only a myth, her hand brushed against something smooth and solid, hidden beneath the swirling sand. She traced the outline of the massive underwater doorway, marveling at its size and at the ancient carvings that seemed to dance around the edge, like tendrils of forgotten language. Lila held her breath, forcing her lungs to keep the precious air a little longer, and pulled out the magic crystal from the pouch tied securely around her waist. It gleamed with an ethereal light, casting intricate patterns onto the stone door. The crystal itself was roughly the size of a plum, its its faceted surface slightly warm to the touch, despite the cold water. Open the doorway, Lila thought, focusing all her energy on the crystal in her hand. It pulsed in response, glowing brighter as it resonated with her thoughts and intentions. As she lowered the crystal close, a hidden panel in the stone began to glow in tandem, revealing an ornate keyhole that matched the shape of the crystal perfectly. Here goes, she thought, summoning her courage. With trembling hands, she inserted the crystal into the keyhole. To her amazement, the stone door rumbled to life. The ancient carvings withered and twisted like serpents as they slithered across the surface of the door. What? Lila let out an exclamation below the water that bubbled to the surface, and her eyes widened with disbelief. The doorway opened slowly, revealing a tunnel that led into darkness beyond her sight. Swim, she urged herself, feeling the first tendrils of panic in her chest tighten from the need of air. You must swim through. Summoning the last of her courage, Lila swam into the dark tunnel, propelled by the unyielding desire to reach the mystical lands. With each stroke, she could feel the water shift around her, its temperature fluctuating as if it were alive. The magic crystal continued to glow, guiding her through the murky depths. Stay focused, Lila, she thought, trying to ignore the growing pressure in her lungs. You're almost there. The watery tunnel seemed to stretch on forever, and the pressure in Lila's chest throbbed unbearably. Just as she felt her vision start to blur at the edges, she broke through the surface, gasping for air. She had emerged into the serene and otherworldly lake, surrounded by a breathtaking snowy wonderland, glistening and glimmering in the icy beauty. It was no longer nighttime, and the dim sunbeams of winter illuminated her frosted surroundings. Welcome to the mystical lands, murmured a gentle voice from behind her. Startled, Lila turned to find herself face to face with a creature she had never seen before. The being was small and delicate, with a long, thin neck, iridescent wings that shimmered like soap bubbles. Okay. And iridescent wing. I missed the end. Its large eyes were an enchanting shade of violet, and its hair flowed like fine silk in the breeze. Who are you? Lila stammered, still catching her breath. Forgive my sudden appearance, the creature replied, its voice melodious and soothing. I am a wood nymph, a guardian of these lands. My name is Ariella. The nymph offered Lila a hand. Your arrival has been foretold, Lila. Ariel, Ariel, Ariella continued. We have been prepared for your coming. Please follow me. As Lila grasped Ariel's outstretched hand and stepped out of the water onto the shore, she couldn't help but notice the festive atmosphere that enveloped the mystical lands. Twinkling lights adorned every tree, and the air was filled with the scent of cinnamon, pine, and smoky smell of crackling bonfires. Laughter and music echoed through the forest, signals of the upcoming Yule and Christmas celebrations. Cold, wet, and shivering, Lila gratefully accepted the gift of a dry clothing Ariella offered her. She quickly donned the warm and dry garments. Christmas, here? Lila thought, her eyes wide with wonder. This is more amazing than I ever imagined." Ariella led Lila deep into the enchanted forest, where they encountered more mysticals. These beings varied in size and shape, each one more fascinating to Lila than the last. There were elves with pointy ears and graceful movements, gnomes with bushy beards and hearty laughter, and even creatures for which Lila had no name. As Lila ventured further down the forest path, she noticed a mushroom man in the snow-dusted grass at the edge of the clearing. His saucer-like eyes were drooping and listless, almost as if he was wilting away. His lean figure had a posture of sorrow, a silent manifestation of despair. "Why is he so sad?" Lila asked Ariel, realizing only after she'd spoken out loud that such a question might be rude. But Ariella didn't seem to mind. "The Dark King has taken all the living, life-giving crystals from this area," the nymph explained. "It hits the mushroom people the hardest, as they are closest to the land." Lila looked back over her shoulder at the sorrowing mushroom man, and her heart ached with the desire to help. "Your arrival has brought hope to our people," Ariella explained, her violet eyes shimmering with pride. "We have long awaited the arrival of the Protector, the one who will help us defeat the Dark King and restore health, balance, and harmony to our world." "Restore health, balance, and harmony?" Lila echoed. A sense of confusion and disbelief swirled within her. Is that is that what the Protector, what I am meant to be?" "Only time will reveal your true destiny," Ariella replied cryptically. "But know this, you are not alone. We mysticals stand with you, and together we shall face whatever challenges lie ahead." As they continued through the magic forest, Lila marveled at the hints of the mystical creatures. Their homes were carved from living trees or nestled within hills, adorned with beautiful symbols and runes that seemed to dance in the dappling sunlight. The mysticals moved with purpose and grace, their every action imbued with the sense of ancient tradition. It was clear that though they welcomed Lila, they also held deep-rooted beliefs and customs that would not be easily swayed. "Remember this, Lila," Ariella said gently, sensing the young girl's apprehension. "Through our ways may seem foreign to you now. Trust that there is wisdom in our traditions. Let the magic of these lands guide you, and you shall find the strength to fulfill your destiny." "Thank you, Ariella," Lila whispered, overcome with gratitude. "I will do everything in my power to protect the mystical lands and all those who call it home." With the support of the mysticals and the magic of the enchanted forest surrounding her, Lila knew she was ready. Ariella reached into her pocket of her robe and produced a tiny vial with a cloudy yellowish liquid. She unscrewed the lid and held it out to Lila. "This is an elixir," she said in a low voice. "It will enable your body to shrink to the size of any creature you come across in the mystical realm. Whenever you're among taller creatures, it will reverse itself. You won't stay small forever. You must drink this if you wish to explore safely." Lila took the vial from Ariella's outstretched hand and brought it to her lips, wincing at the bitter taste as she tipped the contents into her mouth. The daylight slowly faded and the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a soft golden light that danced among the trees as Lila ventured deeper into the mystical lands. The air was alive with the scent of evergreens, and the gentle rustle of snow-laden branches swayed in the breeze. Lila was drawn to a curious little cottage nestled within the depths of the forest. Intricate carvings adorned its wooden walls, and twinkling fairy lights wrapped around its eaves, lending the cozy dwelling to an air of enchantment. "Ah, welcome, young traveler," called a warm voice, startling Lila. Lila turned to find a plump gnome with a bushy white beard and twinkling blue eyes. He wore a red velvet hat atop his head and a green vest, decorated with silver stars covering his round belly. "I am Gilly, and this is my humble abode. Come in, come in. It's cold out here, and you look like you could use a good meal." Lila stepped into Gilly's inviting home, grateful for the respite from the biting cold outside. The interior was cozy and quaint, but also unexpectedly spacious. The walls were adorned with tapestries in rich colors that depicted otherworldly landscapes and creatures. Lila noticed with a start that she had automatically shrunk to the size and scale of Gilly and his tiny home, thanks to Ariella's magical elixir. As she approached the hearth, she felt its warmth wash over her like a soothing embrace, thawing the chill in her bones. Lila's eyes settled on a trio of familiar forest animals curled up on plush cushions near the fireplace: a fox, a squirrel, and a rabbit. All gazed at her as though they had been expecting her. The fire crackled with soft pops and sizzles, casting shadows on the walls that danced along with the flickering flames. In one corner of the room, Lila spied a beautiful carved wooden bookshelf stocked with leather-bound tomes and well-worn journals. A large rug woven from thick wool stretched across most of the floor, its pattern evocative of star-filled night sky, and through it all wafted the delectable aroma of freshly baked bread, mingled with the fragrant spices and herbs. "How kind of you," said Lila gratefully, feeling suddenly more at ease than she had for days. "Sit down, dear," said Gilly, gesturing towards a small wooden table laden with festive holiday fare. "You must be famished after your journey." As they ate a festive Yuletide meal, Gilly regaled Lila with tales of the mystical lands and the ancient magic that flowed through its core. His words painted vivid images in her mind, weaving a tapestry of wonder and adventure that left her eager to explore the hidden corners of this realm. "Long ago," Gilly told her, "the luminary was entrusted with the knowledge of the magic crystals and their power to shape our world. His wisdom was passed down through the generations, but now he resides in a hidden sanctuary, the crystal caverns, waiting for one who will fulfill the prophecy of the protector." "Is that truly me?" Lila asked, hesitant, overwhelmed with anticipation. "Perhaps," Gilly replied with a knowing smile. "But first you must find him and prove your worth. I can offer you some clues to guide your journey." "Please, Gilly," Lila said earnestly. "I'm determined to save my mother and your world from the Dark King." "Very well," Gilly agreed, his voice taking on a grave tone. "Listen closely, for these words may be the key to your success. In the thickest grove of the Whispering Woods, where the ancient oak tree stands tall, lies the entrance to the luminary's residence, the Crystal Caverns. But be aware, young traveler, for just because one meanders does not mean that they are lost, and not every person who has gone astray can be found." "I am grateful for your wisdom, Gilly," Lila whispered, committing his words to memory. "I promise to do everything in my power to protect our worlds." "Then go forth, brave Lila," Gilly urged, clasping her hands in his. "May the magic of the mystical lands guide you on your quest, and may the spirits of the forest watch over you." With a fresh sense of purpose, Lila bid farewell to Gilly and stepped back into the crisp winter air. As she ventured deeper into the forest towards the whispering woods, the fox, squirrel, and rabbit followed close behind, their eyes full of hope. And though the path ahead was uncertain, Lila knew that she could face the challenges ahead, guided by the wisdom of Gilly and the strength of her own convictions. As she walked, she saw more mysticals preparing for their holiday celebrations. The twinkling fairy lights adorned the trees, seemed to multiply, casting a warm glow on the snow-covered ground. Gnomes and fairies bustled about, hanging wreaths made of holly and ivy on their cottage doors. Such a beautiful sight, Lila murmured, her breath forming a small cloud in the cold air. Indeed, agreed Fox, his fur shimmering in the light. The celebration brings warmth in our hearts during these dark times. As they wandered through the enchanted woodland, Lila came across a group of mysticals gathered around an ancient tree. They were discussing something fervently, their words a jumble of concern and urgency. Unable to contain her curiosity, Lila approached them. "Excuse me," she said hesitantly. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. Is there something troubling you?" "Ah, young human," replied an elderly gnome with a long white beard, "we were just discussing the magic crystals. Their power is waning, and it seems that the Dark King's influence grows stronger each day." "Magic crystals?" Lila echoed, fingers curling around the crystal safely tucked in her pocket. "Truly," the gnome continued, "they are the source of our magic and strength, and the very essence of the mystical lands. They come in various shapes and colors, possess, each possessing its own unique power. But beware, for if used improperly, or if they fall into the wrong hands, they can bring great destruction." Lila's mind raced as she thought about how she had used her crystal to enter the mystical lands. "How do I know if I'm using it correctly?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Listen to your heart, young one," the elderly gnome advised. "The crystal responds to those who are pure of heart, and their power can only be harnessed by those who truly understand their purpose." "Thank you for your knowledge and insight," Lila said gratefully, her mind swirling with the questions and fears as she walked away from the gathering. She couldn't help but think of the stories Gilly had shared with her about the prophecy of the Protector. Was she truly meant to wield the powers of the magic crystals to save both her worlds and the mystical lands? Lila's thoughts were interrupted when Rabbit hopped over, a bright red ribbon tied around his neck. "Look at all these preparations," he exclaimed, his eyes wide with wonder. "The mysticals certainly know how to celebrate." "Agreed," the squirrel chimed in, nibbling on a chestnut. "But we mustn't forget that our true purpose here is to find the Luminari, rescue Lila's mother, and defeat the Dark King." Of course, Lila agreed, purpose narrowing her focus to their goal. "We'll enjoy the beauty of the celebrations, but our travels must continue." As Lila and her animal companions ventured deeper into the woods, she kept the knowledge of the mystic crystals and the prophecy close to her heart. Each step brought her closer to her destiny as the protector. Guided by her new understanding of the mystic crystals, the support of her friends, and the courage that filled her soul. After a long day of walking, Lila came upon a fork in the road and a new trail, the path that would lead her through the whispering woods. With the evening sun casting a warm glow over the forest trees, The day felt warmer in the company of Lila's telepathic friends, Fox, Rabbit, and Squirrel. They gathered beneath a canopy of ancient oak trees, with branches reaching up to the sky like gnarled fingers. "Listen closely, Lila," Fox began, his amber eyes gleaming. "To find the luminary, you must proceed to the center of the Whispering Woods, where the moonlight dances on the leaves and the shadows hold secrets untold." "Thank you, my friends," Lila whispered, her heart swelling. "Your guidance means more to me than you'll ever know." As they conversed, the ethereal sound of laughter and music drifted through the forest behind them, a reminder of the mystical's ongoing Christmas and Yuletide preparations. The chilly air was filled with the fragrant scents of holiday spices, and the gentle rustle of frosty dried leaves seems to provide the rhythm for their Christmas songs. "Though our quest is perilous," Fox said solemnly, "do not forget to appreciate the beauty that surrounds us. The magic of the mystical land sustains us, even in the darkest times." "Indeed," Rabbit agreed, twitching one ear. "The light within the world can never be extinguished, as long as we hold on to love and hope." "Come, Squirrel," urged Lila. "We must continue on our path. Time is of the essence, and the Dark King grows stronger by the day." Lila nodded, taking one last look at the twinkling fairy lights. The glow inspired her to draw the magic crystal from her pouch. It pulsed in her hand, and she let her intuition guide her into tying a leather cord around it. Satisfied it was secure, she draped it around her neck, feeling the crystal's reassuring weight against her chest. "Let us travel together into the heart of the Whispering Woods," she declared, her voice steady and strong. With Fox, Rabbit, and Squirrel by her side, Lila set forth on the next leg of her quest. The mystical forest seemed to guide their way, the trees parting just enough to reveal an ancient walkway that led deeper into the Whispering Woods. As they ventured forth, Lila knew that countless challenges awaited them: treacherous terrain, cunning adversaries, and ever-looming threat of the Dark King and his cursed ones. But Lila's resolve remained steadfast, bolstered by the knowledge that she held the key to unlock the power of the magic crystals and fulfill her destiny. Lila believed that with Fox, Rabbit, and Squirrel by her side, united in their quest to save the mystical lands from the wicked hold of darkness, she would prevail. And that is the end of chapter 3. And next week we will read chapter 4 and continue with Lila and her mystical lands journey. I hope you have enjoyed this reading. I do apologize for any mispronounced words or stuttering or anything like that. I thank you very much for listening, and I hope that, of course, you enjoyed the story. Of course, the Mystical Lands Chronicles Book 2 is available on Etsy in PDF and on Amazon in book form. Just take a look for Karen E. Myers. And with that, I would like to say thank you all very much for listening and watching, because I am coloring the final page in the chapter, and that is going to start us off on next week. All right, guys, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, brain just decided no. Like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artists that you enjoy. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.